Hello everyone, welcome back to Spar&Brawl. So Taliban sent a diplomatic mission to Iran earlier this week, and we're joined by Sam as always to tell us what that was all about.
Yeah, it was quite interesting. There was an official visit by a diplomatic mission uh, from Taliban, and Iranian and Talibani relations have somewhat improved during the last few years. I mean, they had a press conference. There were quite intense questioning of them. But let's start with the historical background. Unlike what Mike Pompeo actually recently said that Iran has had a great relationship with Taliban during the last 30 years. The reality is that actually they've had terrible relationships due to religious differences and due to tensions on the border. Famously, I think it was 1997 or something like that, if I'm not mistaken, or 1999. Uh, Tal- Ta- Iranian diplomats, and I'm putting this as politically correct as I can, Iranian diplomats were killed in Mazar Sharif, one of the biggest cities of Afghanistan. And at the time, Mazar Sharif was under the control of Taliban. Uh, Taliban claims that they were killed by what do you call them? There is a good word for it that escapes my mind right now. But groups that acted on their own, basically, they acted independently from the central command and the central governing body of Taliban. Iranian government, though, at the time held Taliban responsible for the killing, and they said it was pretty much coordinated by them. It wasn't just some hooligans attacking a Iranian embassy. There was a massive gathering of forces on the eastern Iranian border. Iranian president, the head of one of the most important councils, Rafsanjani, they all gave us speeches saying that we take revenge. We will get payback for the blood of your children. That type of talk. However, in the end, because of these are according to reports, because supreme leader was against fight and against war, Iran didn't go ahead with attacking Taliban and Afghanistan at the time. So that's the background, and obviously because of the fact that Taliban is extreme Sunni, has extremist Sunni beliefs, they hate Shia Muslims who are majority of population in Iran, including the government and the military forces. So there is great hatred there. However, because of the common enemy that is US of A, in the last decade or so, they seem to have more collaboration, perhaps not so much cooperation. But for example, according to reports, there was the second in command of Taliban was living in Iran until a year ago when Israelis took him out. There are reports, couple of family members of even bin Laden live in Iran, but sort of like a hostage situation. Iran doesn't want, terrorist attacks in its land, just like any other country. So they keep a couple of people here as a security, thingy. So that's the relationship, sort of hostile but improving, it seems. And in this context, they came to Tehran, and Iranian press was obviously naturally very, very harsh towards them. And they, the killing of Iranian diplomat was one of the things that they asked most about. And again, the Taliban said that those groups weren't under the control of the central command at the time. Our authority wasn't established. They acted on their own. There is even a group. There was even a committee or a grouping that was formed to find out who was responsible for this within Taliban at the time. I don't think Iranian public or the press were happy with this answer, but that's the answer they got. And there are reports. A couple of Iranian diplomats are now saying that there were reports that the action may have been coordinated by a neighboring country, and they sort of point their fingers at Pakistan and Pakistani security forces, that actually this may have been coordinated by them, while others have said that, look, the Taliban at the time was a growing force. It wasn't very organized. There were people who were more about, establishing authority and taking back control in Afghanistan. There were people who had prejudices and were taking advantage of the situation. So it may have been an uncoordinated attack that happened because of that, rather than Taliban or Pakistan being specifically behind it. Second biggest focus was on the future of Afghanistan, and interestingly, Taliban emphasized that they are not, they don't want to monopolize power. They are for a system of governance that is all inclusive. Everybody has a space to speak. Everybody has a place to talk. And they said, according to the new deal that they have signed with the U.S. governments, the Doha deal, or it's a plan of action, I'm not sure, there must be a new government formed in Afghanistan. And right now, there is a big debate in Afghanistan about the fact that Taliban is basically saying that Ashraf Ghani, the current president, must resign and a new government formed, and they will deal with that new government, but they won't deal with Ashraf Ghani. And Ashraf Ghani is saying that if he won't resign, and this is a trick, and they're trying to undermine the authority of the central government and the internationally recognized government, so they can start a bloodbath just like they did in 1990s. And even there was a massive controversy with a member of Afghanistani parliament that said that perhaps we should think about a transitional government, and there was a lot of criticisms from different sides. So that was an interesting focus. And I like to point out, I was looking into history of these stuff, and it's often forgotten that, Taliban is a different entity from Al-Qaeda. And even when America was planning to attack Afghanistan, Taliban said that if they provide evidence that bin Laden was behind this, we are open to a sort of a multinational court system to try him or something like that. This is not to justify any of their terrorist actions since or before that, but they are, I think Taliban should be viewed more as a nationalistic movement that is after a statehood and power, rather than rather than just like Al-Qaeda. I think a far more ideologically inclined movement that is more about chaos and more about a certain religious belief. So, and Taliban famously had two parts: the Pakistani Taliban, the Afghanistani Taliban. So it's a very complicated and a complex organization. And right now, it seems that organization is seeking to seeking to come to an understanding with everybody to establish itself, including Iran, including USA.